Alrighty, I've got my FMS PC21 out here today. I just replaced the retracts, all three of them, because about 2 years ago I had a incident, we'll call it, with my old DX8 transmitter. Spectrum verified there was a problem with it that caused my crash. Fortunately, the plane itself wasn't totaled, just the landing gear. So yeah, I thought it would be a good day to get this guy out again. I've done some modifications to this. I had a problem early on getting the center of gravity right. I understand it's a pretty common issue where the placement of the battery straps, and this is a mess in here. If you put the battery where the straps indicate it's supposed to go, you can't get your center of gravity anywhere near where it's supposed to be. It's always going to be way back. And that was with the stock everything. Using various sizes of batteries. I tried everywhere from a 1800 4-cell to a 5000 4-cell, and it just wasn't working out for me. So what I did is I pulled the stock motor and the stock speed control, and I put a heavier motor in there. I figure if I'm going to add weight, it's going to do something for me. So I put the 770 kV motor from the I forget who makes it. It's the Stauffenbiel Edge 540, the big one that Horizon Hobby sold a little while back. It's the same kind of kV as what this came with stock. I think stock was 760 and this one is a 770, but it's a much larger motor, and it was actually a little bit difficult to get that to fit, but I managed because I wanted to. So that motor paired with a 70 amp speed control, paired with a 10x7 propeller. I know it doesn't quite look the same, but that kind of thing doesn't really bother me. I did a sort of a skewed watt meter test yesterday. It seems to pull about 50 to 55 amps on the 6-cell setup, so it's nothing extreme. A little over 1,000 to maybe 1,200 watts. But the thing is, I don't really fly this for speed. It's more of a kind of an easy cruiser. It's really aerobatic. And the reason I didn't push it really hard is because I'm not really confident in this wing. It's a single piece wing, and I don't know how well it's reinforced because I didn't tear it apart and look around in there. I just kind of trusted that it's good for what they say it's good for. So really most of what I've ever done with this plane is just really easy cruising around. And if you open it up, it'll go pretty well. But yeah, I suppose I'll shut up now and get the plane in the air. The other thing I want to do today is refine my video making. I went to a local meet and I took some video, and it all turned out garbage because I had my hat down like this the whole time, and I got a lot of good shots of their runway, but not a lot of good shots of their airplanes, which kind of irritated me a little bit. So what I have to do with this particular setup to get good video is point it pretty much ridiculously upward, which, no worries, I can do that. I just didn't realize at the time that's what I needed to do. Alright, let's go. It makes me happy to have this guy in the air again. It's just a smooth, easy, quiet flyer that will do exactly what you want pretty much, with the flaps and the retracts. On the way over here, I was thinking about this. I just bought, actually a couple months ago, I bought the 1.2 meter T28, and with taxes and everything, that plane cost me about $305. I know taxes aren't technically part of the price, but I bought this guy from Motion RC back when they still sold FMS products, and it cost me $205, right? Yeah, that's my ringtone. I'll check it in a minute. So there is a functional $100 price difference between this FMS Pilatus PC21 and the 1.2 meter T28. And now, I've always been a really big fan of the T28s, but that plane has been such a letdown. They used cheap quality parts everywhere they could, in my opinion. Functional? Sure. $300? I don't see how you can charge $300 for that when you have this. I know this doesn't come with the AS3X, and that's fine. But this thing flies without AS3X every bit as well as that 1.2 meter T28 does with AS3X. Has the flaps, has the retracts. This even has a little box in there. It's a little mixing box. You plug in all three of your retracts into the box. You plug in your ailerons into the box, and you plug in your flaps into the box, right? So you put 7 total servos in, and you get 3 out just to kind of keep everything uncluttered. I didn't keep everything uncluttered because I'm messy like that. But it had like 4 or 5 extra ports for lights. So people like me, later on, you know, we can add some lights, and I think that's really cool. So in my humble opinion, which isn't worth anything considering what you paid for it, anybody who wants a good warbird, and again, my experience is only with the 1.2 meter T28 in that regard, I would, 10 times out of 10, I would buy this instead of that. You know, remember, my opinion's worth what you paid for it. But if I had had that information, you know, a couple months ago, I could have saved myself an easy $100. We just moved houses too, so that $100 would have come in nice and handy. I'm gonna bring her down now. I don't think this battery's done, but I also don't want to find out the hard way. Ooh. Hey, 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 hey! Come on, turn around. There you go. Turn around. There we go. It is a touch breezy out here today. So I'm flying with some old, fairly inexpensive 6-cell packs. I'm using 2650 milliamp hour 6-cell packs. That was 4 minutes of flight. Yeah, I brought my little Viper jet today too, but unfortunately I brought the wrong batteries, so I won't be able to fly that, but no big deal. As my 4-year-old now says, no big deal. So a 4-minute flight, check that out. We're still at just a hair under 4 volts per cell. I'm getting some heat in my speed control. I don't think that's a real problem. It's got good airflow through, so I'm sure it's it's going to stay cool and be all right. I'm pretty sure about that, so I'm gonna take her up again, maybe many more times. And then maybe in the future I'll put something in there with a better heat sink. I've got a Castle 80 amp that I can throw in there. So this plane stock is honestly one of the easiest kind of planes I've ever flown. Once you get that center of gravity right, you don't need crazy power to get this thing flying smooth and easy. 500 watts, you know, no problem. 400, I don't know, do what you want. Honestly, you could get the stock 10x7x5 prop on here. You could probably fly it on a 3-cell. And again, with the stock setup, maybe not the stock speed control, the size of the motor that comes out of there is about a 36 millimeter diameter outrunner, and 36 by probably 40. And this is all just technical garbage, probably boring for most people, but that size of motor, I've run easily 1800, 1900 watts through those with no real significant issues. It doesn't burn them up, it doesn't cause problems. So with the stock motor, you could have a real speed demon if you wanted to. I'd probably reinforce the wing for that, but you know, do what you want with your planes. So I'm going to take this guy up again. That battery's fine. And let's get you out of there. Battery's not hot at all. Yeah, that's cool enough, fine. So we're going to go again. Okay, let's do 4 more minutes and see where that puts us for battery. There's a full throttle pass. I mean, it's nothing to write home about, but that's not what this plane is really about, you know? It's just smooth, easy flying. And as I mentioned before, I haven't flown this plane in about 1.5 years. You know what I mean? So to come out here, plug a battery in and take off, this thing didn't need 1 click of trim ever. I did a small mix for flap to elevator, real small. It is just a solid plane in every regard. When I get some time, I'm going to do something about the heat in that speed control. I don't know what it'll be yet, if I'm going to swap it out for that 80 amp like I said, or maybe I can just get a little more airflow through there. I think it's probably got as much airflow as it's going to need. I mean, as it's going to get. It needs more. So maybe the speed control with a heat sink is going to be the answer. And I've got a few different ones I can use. I've got a 60 ampere out of a Durafly that I put a big heat sink on. I've got again a Castle 80. So since I'm out here and flying, I suppose I may as well just keep running my mouth. Speed controls, as I understand it, they work by what's called pulse width management, or PWM. And what that means is, you know, if you're at 10% or 20% or 30% throttle or 90% or whatever, that's not indicating the percentage of power the speed control is putting through. What that's indicating is how long power is on in the pulse, right? And so what it does is it pulses the entire voltage on and off, 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 based on what you're telling it, right? And the aggregate is the power output that you want. So 50% throttle, power's on half the time, power's off half the time. Turn, you punk! Ah! And I think that's a big part of why my speed control is getting warm today. Because I am cruising around half throttle, and when the power's on half the time and the power's off half the time, pulsing on off, on off, on off, on off, what I've read is that is the kind of worst case scenario for your speed control as far as heat is concerned. That's what makes it generate more heat. Because of that switching. And I don't know that for sure. It makes sense, but I'm no electrician. Alright, so 2 good 4-minute flights on one 2650 6-cell. Alright, let's get you out of there. I've had these packs for going on 5 years. Can you see that? I don't know. 383, 384, 382. Perfect storage voltage across the board. So I'm going to keep doing that for a little while. I'm going to do 4 minutes up, land, check everything. 4 minutes up, land, check everything. I'll probably make some other videos. I don't know if I'll upload them. I'll pick which one is best and go from there. Although I talked a lot during this video, so I don't know, maybe this will be the one that I upload. This motor absolutely never gets hot. It's cool to the touch right now. So given that it's the same KV as stock, just a little bigger, this is kind of a perfect little upgrade for your 6S operation if you want to. That's not by any means anything that this plane needs. It's perfectly fine with stock power, which I think is a 40 amp speed control with 4-cell, so you're looking at 600 or 700 watts, I think. I don't know. Calculator. Let's do 15 volts by 40 amps. Yeah, 600 watts or so. We'll say 600 to 800 watts. So I haven't done anything crazy with this. It's a really low amp 6-cell setup. But I just wanted an easier time of getting my center of gravity right. Alright, I'm going to shut up and do another video. Bye.